day 10 of the 5-star Grand Prix 2024 review. I am your host, as always, Scott Edwards, and I'm excited to get to this very conversation. It is the final day of block play here in the 5-star as we head into the quarterfinals on Wednesday at Shinjuku Face. We're going to talk about 12 tournament matches tonight, some with a lot of stakes at hand, some with very, very little, but this should be a very fun conversation. I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was it accomplished all its goals, set up a very exciting quarterfinal, and ultimately in the end, I think it picked pretty much all the right people to advance. Obviously, I talked about how I would have liked Tam to make it, and we have gone down that path. We know where that's going. So, and when you look at Red Stars B, it's been about elevating young talent, and that's a real win overall. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the decisions that have been made. We're going to talk about the playoffs because we got some playoffs coming up on Wednesday as well. So just sit tight, relax, and enjoy the show. I do ask that you press a like, leave a comment how you liking the show, how are you liking the tournament now that we're headed into the quarterfinals? We're right at the end. 2 shows left in this entire tournament. It's been a grueling, long tournament, but it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you have too. Doing these reviews, especially. Let me know what your favorite match has been through block play now that that's complete. And let me know who you think is going to advance out of the playoffs on Wednesday. Would love to hear that. And then, of course, please press subscribe if you're interested in following along with the channel. Like I said at the end of last episode, we will be doing this for the Marigold Dreamstar Grand Prix as well, which I'm very much looking forward to. So, with that being said, let's get on with the show, shall we? Of course, we had a big time show, like I said earlier. The main event would be Hanan versus Saya Kamitani. Meanwhile, the opener was, of course, Suzuki versus Ranna Yagami. The most important match otherwise on the Blue Stars B side. Suzuki needed to win to have a shot at making it to the quarterfinals, and that's exactly what she did in a fine, quick match here with Ranna Yagami. Suzu won with the tequila shot to get the win, and this ends what I thought was a really strong tournament for Ranna. Ranna, entered as a rookie unexpected, and she came out swinging each and every time. This match went 5 minutes and 6 seconds, but it was about as good as you could hope for in a match that, of course, went 5 minutes and 6 seconds. I think when you look at the potential of these two and what they could create somewhere down the line for Stardom, you get excited about it because, like I said, Ranna Yagami has been really good, and I'm watching Suzu really find her footing now as we head into those final days, which is really good. It took some of the tournament to get some rust off, but I'm kind of getting excited about what she could potentially do in a month or so, especially, but even come Wednesday, because we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Suzuki stays alive in a solid opener here. Then we had Syuri versus Miyu Amasaki. I loved the first match these two ever had. This was one of Miyu Amasaki's Supernova trial matches back on New Blood once upon a time, and it was her best match for a long time, just trying to survive the onslaught that Syuri brings to the table, and that was what this match was all about. I think Miyu Amasaki had her 2 best matches back-to-back days. First, Starlight Kid in that 15-minute draw that really impressed, and then here against Syuri. Again, this match wasn't long. It accomplished its goal, though, and that's what I'm all about with these tournaments. There's 7 minutes and 7 seconds with Syuri getting the win in the end and officially advancing as the number 1 seed in Blue Stars A, which obviously is awesome to see. Syuri was one of the 2 I had picked for this block. Syuri is obviously one of the best in the world, and she will be fighting whoever would make it out of Hanan and Suzu on the final night, of course. So we'll talk about that. But in terms of Amasaki's tournament, she had a strong go from start to finish. I think when you look at her potential and what she can become, you get really excited. That's what it was all about going into this tournament, and I think that's how I leave this tournament. She had two of her, like I said, two of her best showings on the final 2 days of block play. That's all you can ask for. And of course, with Syuri, Syuri is going to enter the quarterfinals with a chance to win this tournament, and I'm very locked in to see how it goes for her. Then we had Azumi versus Saida. This was big stakes right off the bat. If Azumi wins, she's in. She is into the tournament as the number one seed. But Saida, obviously a perfect type of wrestler to pull off such an upset. And that's exactly what happened. These two didn't wrestle for a long time, but boy, oh boy, was it a good time for as long as it lasted. 7 minutes and 59 seconds of hard hitting action. You had Iida hitting big time lariats. You had Azumi utilizing her speed. It was a high speed match, effectively in many, many ways. This is why we watch. Red Stars B probably had their, and I put this in quotes, weakest day in terms of wrestling, because a lot of this was situational and in the purpose of getting us to point the quarterfinals in one way or the other and the way they've booked that. But it was still a really strong match between these two, and I'd love to see them tear it up again. What a tournament it was for Iida. I think she really stood out as, that if you watch New Japan, like that Ishii Goto type wrestler where you look at her, she's not going to win, but she's going to put on great performances. That's what she did here. I think Iida, was such a star. And Azumi, obviously, like, listen, if we're going to talk about this tournament and about elevating, we are elevating young talent in this tournament. And that's, if anything, that's the biggest accomplishment, right? Azumi has a shot heading into the final night, despite the loss here, has a shot to make the quarterfinals as one of the top two seeds, which we will talk about. But this was a good match, worth checking out. And we have Maika versus Manami. This match had no stakes whatsoever. Maika is locked in as the number one seed already heading into this match, but could she go 6-0 as she took on Manami? And the answer was yes. Not that I expected Manami to be the first to pull off the win over Maika, but it was still a question at hand. And ultimately, I thought this match was again really solid. Really solid match here. Another good performance out of Manami. And I think Maika has, come back around. She's figured out, right, because I talked about it at the beginning of this tournament. Like, Maika felt a little different. She was trying to figure out herself now that she was in this new look and this new music. It was a whole reset for Maika coming off the World of Stardom Championship reign. And I think with these last two matches, the Hazuki one and now the Manami one, she has found it. If you look at this lineup of what Manami did, I think this was probably Manami's strongest outing, or at least strongest match. And I think Maika absolutely crushed it. And Maika goes into the quarterfinals undefeated, looking to get redemption and back to the World of Stardom Championship. She has to be the heavy favorite to represent Red Stars in the final right now. But we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. But if you're looking for a match that doesn't have stakes, but just really, really solid, this is the one you get. We then had another no stakes matchup between the two bottom wrestlers of Red Stars A, as Yuna Mizumori looked for her first point or points of the tournament, going against Ruaka, who of course had 1 point from a draw with Manami. And listen. You probably went into this match not expecting much. I know I did, but this was probably the best match of Ruaka's tournament. They did the powerhouse run into each other lariats, which I absolutely adore, and it made for some great fun wrestling. Again, if you're going to have a match with no stakes, you want it to be entertaining, and that's what I think they accomplished here. Yuna Mizumori, what a run for her. In terms of consistency, she absolutely crushed it. I think, like, in terms of every single night showing up, putting on a good performance, I think she crushed it. The only shame of this match is that she didn't get a win. I think her efforts and the effort she put in definitely warranted getting 2 points. I think it would have been really cool, but it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna, of course, lose sleep over it. I think ultimately Yuna Mizumori did a really good job, and Ruaka filled her role in this tournament, right? She was there to, for the most part, lose, do the hate gimmick, and move forward. But she gets a win here. Ruaka, for those who forget, was in the semifinals of the Cinderella tournament this year, so seeing her get a win isn't too shocking over Yuna Mizumori. Then we had Saki Kashima versus Thekla. This match was very basic, very simple. Thekla was beating up Saki around the ring. She hit her with the belt, attacked her before the bell. Saki's just selling and selling and selling. And then as soon as they get into the ring, revival, Saki Kashima wins. No stakes at hand. Very simple. Exactly kind of what you'd expect from Saki Kashima's final match. Saki Kashima finishes with a 3-3 record, having multiple upsets via that revival. She filled her role, right? She is in the spoiler role, and she officially gets Thekla on that one to get to 6 points. Saki did exactly what she was supposed to do in this tournament. Thekla did her heel work, and while I didn't love it, she did what she was supposed to do in this tournament. They both finished towards the bottom, of course, of the Blue Stars B block. Saki finished in the middle, but good for her. Simple match. I have not much more to say. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Now we get back into meaningful matches here. Sayori Ano versus Koguma. Sayori Ano sitting at 7 points. Right now, if she wins, she gets the number 1 seed and she's in. No doubt about it. If she loses, then it opened the opportunity for Starlight Kid to get into the tournament. And would you guess what? That's exactly what happened. This match was probably as good of a 3-minute match as you're going to see. 3 minutes and 16 seconds. These two threw each other on top of each other's heads with nasty German suplexes. They keep fighting, and then Koguma gets the Kuma roll for the win to stun Sayori in the end. Sayori is left shocked. She ultimately chokes on the final day, creating a story heading into the next match. And I think my favorite part about this show was the handling of this exact situation. After Sayori loses, she's not out of it. If Starlight Kid loses or draws, Sayori has a shot, right? If Starlight Kid loses her next match against Xena, Sayori's in. If Starlight Kid goes to a draw, there is a playoff. So there was a lot of hope still to be had for Sayori, but you could see her dreading it at ringside, sitting next to Taro Okada. And I thought that was a great piece of work by them. I thought it was just it was so smart, so simple, but you want to see that dread. I talked to a friend of mine, Trent. Shout out to Trent, and Trent made a great point. Like, I wish we had a camera of Sayori in the corner at all times, just to see her reaction as the match went on. I thought that would have been really cool. But they did keep peeking back at her, seeing how she was reacting, and there was a lot of dread there. There was a lot of excitement. But ultimately, it worked out as we went to Starlight Kid versus Xena. And I've said in these reviews, I think Starlight Kid would be the most enjoyable, most exciting decision to win this 5-star Grand Prix. Do I expect it? No. But you want to make a new star. You want to utilize someone that makes a lot of sense against a Natsuko Tora or even a Tam Nakano, right? They've had that story. Tam wanted Starlight Kid to join the Cosmic Angels. And while that did not happen, there is a story there. Is it as strong as the Natsuko Tora story? Maybe not, but it's a story nonetheless that makes her a potential winner. This match with Xena was super good. I thought this was arguably the best match of the night. What a performance by Xena, by the way, throughout this tournament. She was excellent. She just killed it every single night and had such a strong end to the tournament. Like, I want her to never leave. That's how I feel about Xena. I want her to never leave. I want her to continue have these great matches. Hell, I would consider giving her one of the top 2 titles eventually. That's how good she's been. You look at the New Japan Strong Women's title, she's a great candidate for that as well. What a showing from Xena. But this was all about Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid was attacking that leg with malice. She wanted to work Xena down and make sure she could tap her out. And the drama builds and builds and builds more and more as this match goes on. Xena had hurt herself in her previous match. She had her elbow all taped, but that was the beauty of this match. Xena kept fighting. Xena was out of it, but she kept fighting back. She hit some nasty chops on Starlight Kid, but Starlight Kid's attacking of that leg was just too much. She ultimately broke her down, locked her in the Black Tiger leg killer, and ultimately made Xena tap and got the win, advancing to the quarterfinals of the tournament. She will face Saya Kamitani in the quarterfinals, a match that I am very much looking forward to because I think that's the perfect heel babyface dynamic for Saya Kamitani. Based off what we saw in the main event, I have a lot of hope in what that match is going to look like for a heel Saya Kamitani and Starlight Kid. Like I've been saying, if there's someone outside of Blue Stars B that has been an MVP of this tournament, I think it has been SLK. Sayori's shock and sadness when Starlight Kid won was very well shown. But this is what it's all about, right? You want to build up the future, and we are building up the future here with the win of Starlight Kid. Then we had Natsupoi versus Suzuki. This match was simple. The winner advances. Or as we saw here, a draw means Natsupoi moves on. Natsupoi had the advantage. She entered the night at 4-1. Hazuki entered the night at 3-2. Hazuki needed to win to advance. And this match was built very slowly in the right ways, a lot of feeling each other out, trying to figure things out before an ultimate great second half that I thought really stood out on this show. Probably the best match on the show overall. Shouldn't come as a surprise, right? Everyone looked at this match as a potential match of the tournament. And while I don't think it reached that point, and for good reason, I don't think it reached that point because they are saving for more, right? They are going to head into the tournament, or they're going to wrestle each other after this tournament. We all expected that, right? We all expected Natsupoi and Hazuki to ultimately fight over the Wonder of Stardom Championship after this tournament. It was just a matter of how do we get there? Do we get there by Hazuki pinning Natsupoi in the middle of the ring, whether it be via a Hazuki straw or some other finish, or do they go with the decision they made, and that was a time limit draw? The final minutes of this match were exhilarating. Hazuki saw that this could be her moment. She could beat Natsupoi. Like, everything she was doing was full of time, full of excitement. There was a great pace to her. There was a great mindset to her. There was a great fire to her to try and get this win to advance. She hits the brain buster with seconds to go, but the clock runs out at 15 minutes, meaning Natsupoi survived. And with that, Natsupoi, the Wonder of Stardom champion, advances to the semifinal, and she will face on the final night, or on the quarterfinals, not the final night. At the quarterfinals, she will face the IWGP Women's Champion, Mayu Iwatani. Mayu Iwatani, of course, beating Tomoka Inaba to set up the match, which ultimately would be the three-way that we'll talk about here. But Tomoka and Mayu was a very fun few minutes. Obviously, they were working quickly. Mayu, held her neck a lot after the match. She was all taped up. I was a little bit worried for her. I hope she's okay. But she won with a quick roll up on Tomoka Inaba. But that locked in the number one spot for her and set up the playoff, which we would learn after Tam versus Mei Seira. So Mayu advances. It will be Mayu versus Natsupoi on the quarterfinals. Shout out to my friend Six Star. That is my favorite wrestler versus Six Star's favorite wrestler. Should be an absolute hoot. That's a match I always look forward to. So I can't wait. Absolutely love that. I would have loved Suzuki to get through. I really would have, because I would have loved Suzuki and Mayu. But Natsupoi versus Mayu in Shinjuku face moves me greatly. I think that's going to be such an incredible incredible match. I'd consider probably putting that in the main event because it is the IWGP Women's Champion against the Wonder of Stardom champion. But this was a really fun match. The weakest of Mayu's tournament, obviously, because it was kind of a flash pin. The only complaint I have, I wish is it went longer because these two have really, really good chemistry that I was really excited about. But what a run it was for Tomoka. And then we had Tam Nakano versus Mei Seira. We already know that we're going to a playoff. Azumi and Inaba are tied at 8. They both went to the draw. A playoff is happening there. If Mei Seira wins, that is a 3-way playoff that is going to happen. A play-in tournament type bait that we were waiting for. And Tam Nakano, of course, going into this match at a stunning 0-5. Why not we make it 0-6? Mei Seira was fantastic in this match. She was unrelenting. She continuously destroyed the knee of Tam. Pretty much what everyone has done. Listen, this is a tournament of winning. This isn't about anything besides winning. They're going to use the advantage that Tam has, and that's attacking Tam's knee. That has been the story of her tournament, and that is what Mei Seira followed through on. She drop kicked, she drop kicked, she drop kicked, she drop kicked, she drop kicked until there was no more. I absolutely like this was such a great performance to conclude what I thought was an amazing tournament for Mei Seira in terms of block play. I think she amazed many. I think she stood out to many that maybe weren't fully on the train before. And I think she really won in a big way here, making Tam seemingly go to sleep. Instead of making her tap out, it looked like Tam went to sleep. So that brought Tam to 0-6 in the tournament. Of course, she will challenge for the World of Stardom Championship on the final night of the 5-star Grand Prix. We will see how that goes. She'll have a week off for the most part, so she'll be able to figure things out. But the most important part of all this is it brings us to the 3-way tie. It will be Mei Seira versus Azumi versus Tomoka Inaba on Wednesday with the shot of going to the quarterfinals to face the undefeated Maika that very same night. So the way they're doing this, it is not a traditional 3-way match. It is a Tomoe match, which if you ever watch Catch the Wave back in, I believe it was 2021, they did this to decide a block. It was Mio Momino, Miyuki Takase, and Sakura Hirota. It lasted ultimately like 41 minutes. So the basis of the match is 2 wrestlers start, and you have the only way to win is you have to win 2 matches in a row. You have to win 2 matches in a row. So say Mei and Azumi start the match, right? Whoever wins that then has to beat Inaba to advance. If Inaba wins, they keep going until one of them win back-to-back matches. It's an exciting final, especially between these 3. And listen, I am not really going to complain about more Red Stars B action. I like the style of match this is, especially between these 3, and it elevates all of them, right? No one loses here. All 3, hell of a tournament, all get 8 points. Really, really strong, and I'm really excited to see who wins it. I don't know. Like Azumi feels like the favorite going into it, but listen, there has been a real great push here with Tomoka, and Mei Seira is the best. Like I love Mei Seira. She's a high speed champion. I love if she won, but that is the quarterfinal playoff. Before we even get to the Maika match, so one of these people got to win and then face the undefeated Maika. It's not looking great for them, but they're packing that Shinjuku Face show, and this match could very much steal the show before we even get to the quarterfinals. I'm sure that'll open the show or something of the sort. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then, of course, we had our final match of the evening. It was Hanan versus Saya Kamitani. If Hanan wins, she forces a playoff with Suzuki. If Saya Kamitani wins, she rolls on to a 5-1 record. She's already locked into the number 1 seed. She didn't have to work harder for that. That is locked in. So this match was ultimately about, does she want to take out Hanan? And this was the best match of the tournament for, I think, both of them. The heel babyface dynamic was worked simply, but it was worked effectively. The wrestling was exciting and exhilarating. Hanan's the best babyface in Stardom right now. I truly believe that, and I've truly believed that for quite a long time. I talked about it with like Saya Kamitani for weeks now. Like, oh, she's such a baby face at heart. You don't turn her. Well, Hanan's such a baby face at heart. You do not turn her. This was really well done. And ultimately, it was Hanan winning the match with the backdrop driver to confirm a second playoff match on the on the quarterfinal night at Shinjuku Face. It will be Hanan versus Suzuki. And I'm amped about that because the first time they wrestled, they went to a double countout, and I was very upset. That was on the opening night of the tournament. Now we're going to get a real match between these two. And with the way Suzu's finally clicking and the way that Hanan just works, I'm really excited for it. Like, do I think 2 playoff matches were necessary? No, but does it create excitement for me heading into the quarterfinals? Yeah, it sure does. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It sure does. It's very exciting, very much what I want to see. Like, you're giving me so many great matches on that quarterfinal. So, here is your rundown of the lineup now. So, it will be Maika versus the winner of Azumi, Tomoka Inaba, and Mei Seira earlier that night in a Tomoe match. It will be Mayu Iwatani versus Natsupoi, which I think should just main event the show. Could be Maika versus one of the wrestlers in the three-way, though. That would make a lot of sense, too, just because they've already wrestled earlier in the night. You'll have Syuri versus the winner of Hanan versus Suzuki. I mean, come on, folks. We're not complaining about that. Are you kidding me? These two are gonna put on a show. They didn't get to that first night. It's gonna be different. I think they're gonna have a hell of a fight. Probably like 10-minute fight, but I'm really excited for that. And then we have Saya Kamitani going one-on-one with Starlight Kid in a match that could very well just determine the winner of this entire tournament. So I'm absolutely locked in for that. I hope you are too. What a final night. Like listen, I don't think any match was necessarily like the best ever, but I think there was a lot of great excuse me, I think there was a lot of really good wrestling on this show, a lot of good storytelling, a lot of progressing the stories, because ultimately this is all about the tournament and the drama. And we have brought more drama to the quarterfinals, which I'm very excited about. So let's jump into the match ratings here real quick. The match ratings were about as expected. So ultimately, in the Red Stars block, your MVP in block play was, of course, Hazuki. Not a big shock, having her best 2 matches back to back with Maika and Natsupoi, as I expected. Second place came Natsupoi, and then Maika with Yuna Mizumori coming in with 4th after a very consistent tournament. In Red Stars B, Mayu Iwatani wins the MVP of the entire block play of the tournament at 3.96. Just incredible work. As you can see here, I've already added the play in for these competitors, so it should be interesting. Then we will have Blue Stars block. The MVP of the Blue Star side of things was Starlight Kid for me. I just thought she had a great tournament. Both Syuri, Xena was in second. Xena just had such a strong closing to the tournament. And then Sayori Ano and Syuri. Syuri could still win this MVP depending how far her tournament goes. I will never count her out. 2 great all-timer type matches is very much in her wheelhouse. So we will wait and see. And then in the Blue Stars B block, it got a little bit better as the days gone on. We have Suzuki at the top here with both Saya Kamitani and Hanan tied for second. Now, these ratings aren't great for them. We've talked about that time and time again. But with the playoffs, with what's going on, I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope of where we could be going with this tournament, and especially these two. Let's just take a look at Pep's stat sheet now. Here as followed. All of this. But let's look at those match times. Starlight Kid ended up having the most time wrestled within the 8 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 3 seconds. Tam Nakano was at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 36 seconds, and Momo Watanabe was at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 29 seconds. The least came with Saki Kashima, wrestling a total of 29 minutes and 6 seconds. Ranna Yagami, unsurprisingly, being at 36 minutes and 5 seconds, and Miyu Amasaki being at 43 minutes and 33 seconds. So, What does this all mean? This means we are going to be back on Wednesday with another recording to talk all of the quarterfinals, a recording I am very excited to do. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you all are as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can follow me at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter if you don't already. I hope you've enjoyed the block play version of these reviews. I'm excited to get into day 11 and, of course, day 12, the finals, a week from this past Saturday. We are almost there. We are going to be talking about the 3 tournament matches on that day, and we will be talking about all the quarterfinals actions as well as the playoffs on Wednesday. So thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. And until Wednesday, so long, farewell, see ya.